Amen. Pray that brings some comfort to people who are suffering right now, who feel alone, who give a sense of community. So I'd like to share with you a couple words of Torah this morning as we continue on through this challenging moment. And I have to tell you, I've found great comfort in being able to prepare words of Torah at this time, because it forces me to think about how there is a bigger picture to what's going on in our world. We have to stop focusing so much on the minutiae and the details, but to look at the grander picture and what are the lessons that we learned. My wife shared with me this morning a list that she's been making of all the things that she's actually enjoying about this time period. And so we should be focusing on those things, those little gifts that are being given to us at this time. Sometimes it's just a smile, sometimes it's just a wave, sometimes it's just a hello to somebody we don't normally see. Or sometimes we see but never say hello to. And so this time period is a time period in which we are being challenged. But we also have to look at the bigger picture and continue to maintain some perspective. Because it's so easy to lose perspective. That's why our tradition is always counting. It's always counting from one day to the next. It's always counting from one time period to the next. We find ourselves right now in the period of counting of the Omer, where we moved from now to Shavuot. We can't say it's just about now. We have to make use of today. We have to make sure that today counts, but we're also looking toward the horizon of Shavuot. We know that we count yortzites. We say to ourselves, how many years has it been since our loved one passed away? We count a year, a yortzeit, a year's time, because we recognize the importance of perspective on what's going on. So our tradition always says we've got to keep perspective. And keep perspective by looking at the small, but also appreciating the grander view of things. We find ourselves now during the holiday of Pesach. It's a holiday about freedom and liberation. It's ultimately about our journey from slavery to promised land. And it's easy, you can imagine, for the Jewish people while they're wandering through the desert to feel as though they're never going to arrive on the shores of the promised land. In fact, so many won't. We know that the Dor HaMidbar, the generation of the wilderness, was the challenged generation that had to overcome its slave mentality in order to be able to truly enjoy the liberation and the freedom of a promised land. It's that generation that was enclosed in Egypt, that was unable to fully enjoy the expanse of freedom. And so many of them never make it into the promised land. And we know that's true right now. There will be a generation that grew up knowing of COVID. There was a generation that grew up knowing of 9/11. So many of my students were never alive during 9/11. I can't imagine it was a watershed moment for me in my life, as I imagine it was for so many of you. And some will grow up as this being the formative experience. You know, the comparison has been made regularly between this experience and the experience of World War II. When so many were asked to give up so much and to do so much in order to help the war effort. And the joke that has been going around so much right now is that the generation of World War II were asked to sacrifice so much, they were asked to give so much in order to help in the war effort. There were victory gardens that were planted. And our generation, the generation of COVID, was asked to sit on the couch and do nothing. As if to say they could do so much and we can barely sit on our couch. As an effort to help save lives in this world. The question is not, are we just sitting on our couches? The question is, what are we doing in the bigger picture? How are we allowing this moment to change us in ways that will allow a significant alteration to the course of history? In the same way that the generation of World War II aided in the war effort, so too we must aid in the human effort to make the world a better place, and this is the moment of change. We speak of those people in our world who are on the front lines, the healthcare workers who are making sure that every person who can survive will. And every person who is unable and will succumb finds the comfort and the peace in the knowledge that they weren't completely alone in this moment. And our hearts go out to them, and our prayers are with them. And we stand at the ready to help them in whatever ways they ask of us. But otherwise, says the joke, we're sitting on our couch doing nothing. So we arrive at the challenge of this holiday, Pesach. Pesach says, what are you going to do? To feel out your freedom, to recognize your liberation. And then there's this strange thing that happens with Pesach and Pesach alone. I can't think of another holiday or another ritual in which if you miss it, you can make it up a month later. Pesach Sheni. It's a strange construct. If for whatever reason you were unable to observe the holiday of Pesach at its appropriate time, says the Torah, you get a makeup day. You get Pesach Sheni. Yeah, it's going to be one day as opposed to the 8 days of the Pesach that we observe right now. It's going to be less, it's going to be diminished, but it's going to be a makeup day. That's what the rabbis tell us. And in this moment, we are challenged with what does that mean? And who gets to have a makeup day? Says the Gemara in the Tractate of Sukkot that there were many people who were unable to observe the holiday of Pesach because they were involved in other mitzvot. In the Tractate of Sukkot, it says that, for example, those who had witnessed the death of Nadav and Avihu were involved intimately in making sure that their burial was done properly. They therefore weren't clean and couldn't observe the holiday of Pesach. Those were the people who got the makeup day. Those who were involved in mitzvot that precluded the observance of Pesach meant they got a makeup day. It wasn't just because you didn't feel like observing the holiday of Pesach that you said, maybe a month later I'll give it a shot, but right now I'm not in the mood. Says the Torah, those who want a makeup day get it only if they were in observance of another mitzvah. You can't just say to yourself, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. Andy! Sorry. Andy! I unplugged it. Sorry. Did you hear me?
I did. I heard this thing.
Sorry about that. That was technical difficulty. It's not that, thank you, Andy. It's not that you want to get out of it. It's that you had to be given a makeup. You were involved in another mitzvah. It says in the Torah, Osek b'Torah, patur mina mitzvah. If you were involved in a mitzvah, osek b'mitzvah, patur mina mitzvah. If you're involved with one mitzvah, then it's okay not to be doing the other ones. But if you're not, then you have an obligation to be involved in the moment you don't get a makeup. So says this moment in our lives, if you're not involved in the effort to help others, if you're not involved in the effort of recreating yourself so that the world becomes a better place after this is over, in which we return to a life of civility, where we learn to a life of understanding the necessity for community, where we return to a life where we understand the value of faith, then you have done nothing during this time period. And you have wasted this opportunity that our world is providing for us at this time. And you won't get a makeup. Look, the truth is in life, sometimes we do get makeups. Sometimes in life we do have the opportunity to say, I'm sorry. Did something wrong. You know that there are moments in our lives where we get to go and have a do-over. But sometimes those moments pass and we have done nothing to change. And we've lost that chance. It's true in life. You know that there are people to whom you wish you had said you're sorry who are no longer with us. And you've lost that chance. There's no moment of reconciliation afforded us. Says Pesach and Pesach Sheni, don't imagine you're always going to get a makeup day. Make today count. Don't just sit on your couch. Use this as a moment to solidify within yourself who you want to be when you return to the real world. When you return to those around you. When you return to your loved ones. When you return to your place of business. When you return to the supermarket to say something kind to a cashier. This is the moment where you get the opportunity to change who you are if it's not who you want to be. And I encourage you not to miss that opportunity. I encourage you not to waste this chance that Pesach affords us. Because if you aren't involved in this process now, you may not have another one. I pray you don't have another one. We said it after 9/11. We say it again now during COVID-19. We have to make this world a better place. We see how distant we have become from one another. In our language, in our ideology, in our perspective. We see that kindness has lost out to negativity. And so this is the opportunity to be at home, to think about who we are, and figure out how we're going to make a change. This is the planning stage. Shabbat Shalom and good Yontif. So, if you're still there, I have a couple jokes for you. Here's one. When Newton was quarantined due to the plague, he invented calculus. Any idea how bored you have to be to invent calculus? I have the most loving wife. Last night I woke up while she was holding a pillow tightly over my face to protect me from COVID-19. Now, you know that I've only been married 2.5 years, but it has, in fact, still been a blessing to be at home with my wife for these 3 weeks now. We were able to catch up on everything I've done wrong. You can imagine it's been only 2.5 years, but she's had 15 years worth of material. With so many sporting events being canceled, they're having to televise the World Origami Championships. It's on pay-per-view. Pay-per-view. Not pay-per-view, but pay-per-view. Origami Championships. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. I love this one. I'm so bored I went outside, knocked on my own door, then came in and said, "Who is it?" Never in my whole life would I have imagined that my hands would consume more alcohol than my mouth. I don't know. Cops just left. They said if I'm going to walk around my house naked, I have to do it inside. My mother sent me that one. Sitting on my couch, and my husband sweetly whispered, "The best part about all of this is that I get to spend more time with you." As I looked over at him, I lovingly realized he was talking to the dog, not to me. Day 7 at home, and the dog is looking at me like, "See, this is why I chew on the furniture." In case you lost track, today is March 97th. Coronavirus has turned us all into dogs. We roam around the house all day looking for food. We're told no if we get too close to strangers, and we get really excited about car rides. Can we do that one slower? Does anyone know if we can take showers yet, or should we just keep washing our hands? I love that one. I think that's about it for today. What do you think? I think we've had a good day. Yeah, I think that's about it. Well, I hope that you had a good time today. I hope that you got something out of this service. I hope that it's valuable and meaningful. If you think it is, send me a note. If you don't think it is, you could also send me a note, whatever you want. I'd love to talk to any of you who want to talk. As soon as Shabbos and Yontif is over, we'll be right back to reaching out to people. So I hope that if I do call, you answer the phone. If you want to call me, feel free. I'd love to talk to you. I know these are difficult and challenging times, and sometimes it just helps to have a conversation with somebody about absolute nothingness. So I'd be happy to have that conversation with you as well. In any case, have a good Yontif, a good Shabbos. I would remind you that on Thursday this week at 11 o'clock, Thursday coming up this week, will be the 8th day of Yontif. I'll be doing a special Yisker service here at 11 o'clock. It won't last that long, so I would encourage you, if you're going to be a part of that, to get on exactly at 11 o'clock. Same link as today, and I'll see you on Thursday. Good Yontif and good Shabbos. Anybody see what I did with my keys? Can't find my keys.